Yeah, I was wearing this shirt. It's really twisted. I was hoping somebody would notice and like see what was like actually on the shirt and be like, appalled or shocked by it. I got a few people.
Nice.
So
So explain the shirt one more time. I know like the transmutation thing is from Full Metal Alchemist.
yeah. So transmutation is like the process of alchemy in the anime, and you're not supposed to transmute humans because that's against the law. And so these two characters, I don't want to spoil anything, but fuck it. Their dad actually fuses these two characters together and they become a chimera. They can't be unfused after that. So it's like they're stuck like that. And that was like one of the most tragic stories that happened towards the beginning of the anime. It's morbid and dark in the show, in the context of the show. On that shirt, they're doing the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like a joke shirt, but a dark humor.
There's a pro tip from Ken when you're doing shows. Wear a shirt that has some shock value to it. Maybe you'll get some business.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Comics Grind. I am one of your hosts, Nico Rodriguez.
And I'm Ken, aka Comic Ken on YouTube.
And welcome back to another weekly comics discussion. Ken, man, before we get into the main topic of the week, we had a pretty sick weekend last weekend. We did Comic Indie Con over here in Houston, dude.
Yeah.
Kind of like in summation, man. How did it go for you? How'd you enjoy the experience?
It was actually way better than I thought it would be, actually. I had so much more material on hand. So I actually got to sell the full book of Air Rider to people, and that was a really good experience. A lot of people bought both the first and second issue at the same time, so I was just like really excited that people were like getting into it. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I was actually wondering like how this, like in your experience, how this compared to the first Comic Indie Con back in 2019.
So the first Comic Indie Con, I think it was like 2017, so like 2 years before 2019. So,
Oh wow.
but 2019 was the one that I did.
Okay, yeah. How was it for you?
Yeah. In comparison, I think it was pretty much similar.
Oh yeah.
So in 2019, they actually did it in a different venue that was kind of right around the corner from the Silver Street Studios.
Mm-hmm.
But the main difference between that first venue and this one is the first venue kind of had 2 floors. So it was
Oh really?
it felt a little more condensed, and I
Uh-huh.
think probably overall square footage it was bigger this time around, but um being that it was 2 floors and kind of like a little, it felt a little more condensed. So if I remember correctly, in 2019, it kind of felt like, in terms of like traffic wise, it kind of felt like it was a little more bustling, just because it was such a smaller area.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So it felt more crowded, a lot of people
yeah,
like walking back and forth.
yeah, but I think that's only because of, it was
The
2
space.
floors, and yeah, the whole spacing of the event.
Right.
Um, but in terms of overall enjoyment, man, it was right there on par. I think kind of like my big highlight of the weekend was just kind of catching up with some other creators that I already knew of, and then
Right.
meeting some new guys that were doing some awesome stuff. Um, and I think, in Ken, it was pretty dope tabling right next to you, man. We kind of had some viewers of the show come up and tell us,
Yeah.
that they enjoy watching the show and enjoy what we're doing and things, and they were creators as well. Um, so that was pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Shout outs to Glenn, shout outs to Rashid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it whenever people like tell us that they're watching the show. It makes me feel like keep going, like keep making good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like, we sit here every Thursday and record these episodes, just you and I. and like no one else, here, so we don't exactly feel the total engagement. But when we
Right.
go to like in-person shows and stuff, and we're at tables, and we see people come up and say, hey, we watch the show, enjoy what you're doing. It kind of means the most, man. Keeps us going.
Yeah, man.
um
Yeah. Also, shout outs to Ray.
yeah,
Another person I met at the
yeah,
show.
dude. Yeah, Ray was awesome, man.
Yeah.
That was real cool to meet him and kind of see some of his work in person too.
Oh
um
yeah.
Yeah, but overall, man, so I guess with this, you kind of had to make a little bit of a drive out here and everything. But from your experience and everything, I kind of got like two kind of offshoot questions. Would you
Yeah.
would you come to the next one if there's a next year of the Comic Indie Con?
Definitely. Yeah.
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 And how about like, does it make you want to kind of search out maybe shows like that are in your area?
It makes me want to find like other cheaper shows that I can attend without like too much hassle. Um but I don't want to get into shows too much right now. Right now I'm trying to focus on launching the first issue of my book.
Yeah, you mean, Kickstarter stuff?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, man, overall, Comic IndieCon 2023 was a success. Thank you for all of you who watched the show and who came out and told us that you were watchers or subscribers. That was really, really awesome to see. And
Yeah.
hey, man, hope to see you guys again, throughout shows of next year too. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, I actually ended up selling a lot more of my books than I did with like the fan art and the posters and stuff.
yeah.
And I was wearing this shirt here. Let me show y'all. I was
Oh yeah,
wearing
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was wearing this shirt. It's really twisted, but but I was hoping somebody would notice and like see what was like actually on the shirt and be like, appalled or shocked by it. And I got a few people. I got a few.
Nice.
So,
So explain the shirt one more time. I know, like the transmutation thing is from Full Metal Alchemist,
yeah.
but the characters in the shirt are different, right?
Well, yeah, the so transmutation is like the process of alchemy in the anime, and you're not supposed to transmute humans because that's against the law. You could really fuck some stuff up. And
Uh-huh.
so these two characters, they're I don't want to spoil anything, but fuck it, like their dad actually fuses these two characters together and they become a chimera, and
Yeah.
they can't be unfused after that. So it's like they're stuck like that. And that was like one of the most tragic stories that happened towards the beginning of the anime. And it's
Yeah.
morbid and dark in the show, in the context of the show. But on that shirt, they're doing the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So
Got it.
it's like a joke
Got
shirt,
it.
but a dark
Mm.
humor.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't remember them doing that because
They did.
Full Metal Alchemist is actually one of the shows that I got into a while back.
Yeah.
And I do remember like the scene with what is it's Chimera is what you call
Yeah,
it?
Chimera, yep.
And it was just like it was almost like it was a beast looking thing, but it almost kind of had
Mhm.
this very human quality to it. Um,
Right.
and I can't remember if did it speak or did it just like mumble or something, or what was
Yeah,
it?
it spoke, but
Yeah,
just barely.
just barely, just barely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I don't remember them doing the damn, uh,
No, they didn't do that.
Goten dance or
No.
whatever it
So
was.
you're aware, you know what,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, Dragon Ball Z back when I was a young lad was the shit. So like
Right.
fusion and all that was like, yeah, it was dope.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, cool stuff, man. So there you go. There's a pro tip from Ken when you're doing shows. Wear a shirt that has some shock value to it. Maybe you'll you'll get some business.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Um, but cool, man. So other than that, man, main topic for the day. What do we got
Yep.
on the docket, Ken?
Well, last week we talked about our basically our 2023 wrap up. Everything that we did throughout the year, our goals, what we accomplished, did we accomplish what we hope to accomplish? And now we're talking about what we want to do going forward in 2024 and beyond. So
Yeah.
yeah, for I think first we wanted to talk about our goals for our books pretty much. And what goals did you have for like West Not South, Brew Monsters, all that?
Yeah, man. Obviously the big one of last year was West Not South. So
Yep.
like I've been talking about, getting all the work done. That was kind of the main goal for 2023, and
Yeah.
I met that goal.
Yeah, you got
So
stacks on stacks, man.
I got some stacks, dude. I got some stacks. Um, so now 2023 is just all about figuring out the distribution of it.
Right.
Actually, as we speak, I actually went and I'm getting a proof ordered right now just to kind of see how everything comes in and stacks up. If I like it, good with the product.
Cool.
Um, and then it's just all about figuring out what to do next, man. I don't have the answers at this moment. Um,
Mhm.
but obviously there's a multitude of answers. There's crowdfunding, there's the Kickstarters routes,
Right.
there's even doing something, just creating a website and selling books on there, a
Right.
mix of those two things. There's potential publisher outreach, if that's something that I really do think is valuable and something
Yeah.
to try to do. um
Is there
Obviously, yeah.
like out of all those options, which one do you think is like the most likely that you'll do? Do you think you'll try to get published with a kind of a indie publisher house, or will you try to fully go that self-published?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I still think self-publishing primarily is the way to go. Um,
Even with that big of a book, it's like
yeah,
180 pages.
and it's something that I'm going back and forth with all the time.
Mhm.
But obviously, I'm ordering this proof and everything, right? So
Right.
that kind of indicates to me and to the printer that I'm working with that, hey, I'm gonna order a decent sized chunk of books,
Right.
just self-published, all on my own thing. So at least initially, with I'm not going to do an outrageous print run,
Uh-huh.
with thousands of copies, but I'm gonna order a moderate size.
Right.
Then from there, that, so right there, I'm already kind of, I've got to do some self-publishing portion first,
Right.
because I'm not going to spend the money to get a whole slew of hard covered books,
Uh-huh.
um, and or soft cover, or whatever the case may be, and have all these things, and then like turn around and suddenly, like, a publisher, pitch to publishers, and a publisher wants it. Then it's like, okay, I've got like this stack of books here that I wouldn't be sure to do with what to do with.
Right. And
Um,
then the proof copy you got coming in, is that a soft cover?
Actually, I'm ordering a hardcover proof.
Oh, really? How much does that cost?
Uh, more
For
more than a soft cover.
for 120 pages, man.
Actually, 144 is the is the final. It's
Oh.
Yeah, because so it's 120 story pages, but then
Uh-huh.
I've got backup material. I've got some process things that I'm throwing in there,
Right.
plus some other little ad hoc things that I've done over the last year and a half or so.
Right.
Um, so it's going to be a pricey purchase.
Yeah.
But I was actually talking with Justin earlier today,
Uh-huh.
friend of the show,
Yep, yep.
Justin
Justin
Prine.
Prine. Yep.
Shout out to Justin Prine. Um, and he was just kind of, he mentioned something that was kind of in my mind, but um, that I just hadn't formulated in the correct words. But it was kind of
Mhm.
like, this first print run, no matter what it is, it's kind of like your if a publisher would be interested in publishing the book,
Uh-huh.
this print run is kind of like the, hey, look at this type of step of the phase, meaning like, now I've got something at shows. if
Uh-huh.
if if I go to a specific show next year, and you know there's a publisher that I would love to work with, or that I think the book would fit with, I've got, 50 to 100 copies at my table that I can
Right.
say, "Hey, check this out." Boom, put it in the hand.
Right.
Um, Now I've got a mechanism to where, I bought a, ISBN for it. So now I can go to some of these smaller, or I can go to comic shops, I can go to smaller bookstores, I could even go to like a Barnes and Noble type of thing if I wanted to,
Right.
and get this self-published book in those shops.
Yeah.
So like that's another mechanism of it, you know. And I,
I
I
heard
yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say I heard with ISBNs you have to it's expensive to buy just one, and
Mhm.
then if you bought 10, it's a lot cheaper than to buy
Fact,
just one.
fact, yeah. So Bowker is the main company that distributes ISBNs.
Right.
If you go to myidentifiers.com, that's where you buy your ISBNs. So it's 125 bucks for a single ISBN.
Right.
It's 295 for 10 ISBNs.
Yeah.
Um, and if you go the route where you're distributing different types of versions, so say you got a hardcover, say you've got a soft cover, say you've got, an e-version,
Mhm.
um, you need a separate ISBN for each one of those products.
Damn.
So that's just something to kind of keep in mind.
Right.
So yeah, so man, that's kind of the cases, and this is kind of like a a kind of I vouch, or I don't know how to say it right now, but I kind of promised myself
Uh-huh.
that, I've tried working with a couple kind of mid-sized publishers, um, a few years back,
Yeah.
uh, two or three. I don't remember exactly the count as of now, but both of those things I pitched to the publishers, and they wanted it, and they gave me a contract to do these books, and then it just the bottom fell off, fell right out. Um, you
Uh-huh.
know, 4, 6 months later, no communication, and those two books just fell out. So
Right.
since then, I've kind of been just like, hey, let me do my stuff, put it out, and if a certain company likes it enough, they'll see it, and
Yeah.
then they'll reach out. So I kind of feel like I should keep steady, keep strong with that mission statement,
Right.
because we see so many books around. There's a book called Atomic Robo, or Atomic Robot, one of the two.
Atomic
Um,
Robo, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty big. And I spoke with one of the creators of that series maybe 2 years ago when I was at Seattle at Emerald City Comic Con.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah,
and
that
I, and
one's
I
been going on for a while. It's like one of the OG webcomics.
yeah, 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 and I was talking to him, and he's was like, you know, the way we did it is the Kickstarter came first before all that stuff,
Mhm.
and then the publishers reached out after that, and that was like his like main like steady kind of recommendation is to put the stuff out there.
Yeah.
A Another guy like Kyle Starks.
Uh-huh.
I spoke about him on the show before, and he kind of had that exact same kind of mission statement where he put his stuff out, then people found him and reached it out. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually the same with a friend of mine. Her name is Ngozi Ukazu. She
mhm.
did this book called Check Please. It's a
Yeah,
hockey book in
huge,
the
huge book, huge book.
yeah, in the like LGBTQ space. She started off doing a Kickstarter that became like a huge, like it was 75K that she made on the first run. And so then I forget. Oh yeah, first second books reached out to her for the second and third book, and those ended up being huge Kickstarters, and her career was launched that way. From she first like garnered an audience online, and then started producing pages for her own thing, and then it eventually just ballooned into
Right.
what you see now.
Yeah, yeah, and just kind of off of that, I was watching. I don't know if you've seen David Finch's kind of a live drawing. I don't know if it's live drawing in chat, but it may be recording chats.
Right, right, yeah.
Where he's sketching something, but recently he had Robert Kirkman on, um,
Oh, really?
and I watched maybe the first hour of that conversation or so,
Uh huh.
and I found it interesting to even hear Robert Kirkman say, who's obviously an image partner.
Hmm.
Um, his imprint is a Skybound with Image, and it was interesting to hear even from him saying that like in terms of pitching, they don't even they really don't even entertain like online submissions um
Damn.
anymore, which I always, back years ago when you start looking around pitching and all that kind of stuff,
Uh huh.
you always come across the Image Comics pitching, portion of the website, and it gives you all the guidelines of how to pitch and how to submit a
Hmm.
story and everything. And it was interesting to hear even Robert Kirkman say, like, we don't pay mind hardly at all to that anymore, or um, even sign deals off of that mechanism of the pitching process.
Right.
He was like, if it's something you want to do, or if it's something you want to do with Image, do it online, post it, put it all out there, and then if it's something that we want, we will reach out.
Right.
And I think it's very interesting hearing a guy like Robert Kirkman even say that, because um, it really seems like that is the path. Put it
Right.
out, do it on your own. If it gets to a point where a publisher wants it, the publisher reaches out, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Um, and if the
I
publisher doesn't reach out, then it's yours, and you just rock with it. So
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that time and time again. I've seen it with this one called Octopus Pie. I've seen it with this other one called Kill 6 Billion Demons. And I've also seen it with another book called Homestuck. That's one of the major like old school web comics that got turned into. I think I forget which publisher picked up Homestuck, but they took it, turned it into a book and put it in all the stores and whatnot. So a
yeah,
lot of these web comics that start off um and just keep going and have a proven track record of continuing to publish and put out work, the publishers see that that person is actually in it for the long haul. So they're like, all right, this person has staying power, they have an audience that follows them, and so they want to publish their book. So I'm thinking like where the comics grind, are we strictly indie or are we open to publishing? And that doesn't have to be the topic of this episode, but
yeah,
um that's just something like to keep in mind. Are we open to being a published artist and sharing the revenue that we get with the company and all that stuff?
yeah,
Because I think that would be an interesting discussion in the future.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I always think it's something that you need to be open to as a business person.
Yeah, I mean that's what I thought would be my path eventually. Pretty much, like I
Yeah,
would start off making Air Rider on my own, and then make it quality enough or garner enough of a fan base to where I can get it distributed massively, or distributed more than I could do on my own.
yeah, yeah, man. I mean, there's only so many Terry Moores out there that like can make their book and keep it all self-contained and make a successful career out of it.
Oh wow, I didn't know
You
he
know,
he did that the
yeah,
whole time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And honestly, I can't even like guys like David Lapham. I mean, Straight Bullets. It's not
Right.
like he's putting it out. It's not like he's put it out forever. So, but yeah, it's certainly something we can delve more into. But what about you, Ken? What about you, the 2024 for Air Rider and kind of all your things? There you go. There's strangers.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, for 2024 with Air Rider, it's gonna be I'm gonna launch my first Kickstarter in March. So right now I'm going through the comics launch course, and I'm trying to gather email list subscribers, and that's the whole, like, I'm just going through that whole process, the course and all that, to get the ball rolling for my launch in March. Like back in January or December, I watched a podcast interview, or like a talk by Brian Pulido, talking about what he would do to um get his first book out there. And he said he would spend the next year and a half um advertising, talking about it on social media, getting people interested in the book he's trying to create. And I read everything about how to get into different groups and talk to different people about the subject of the book that you're making, or like find related subject groups that you can kind of go inside of, and then see what people like about the kind of book that you're trying to make, and then get them interested in your personality, who you are, and then parlay that over to interest in your book. So it's like you're not trying to build an audience out of nowhere. You're trying to find where they're at, and then get them interested in the book you're trying to produce. And that's basically what I've been trying to do this whole year with the marketing process and all that. That's why I haven't been able to draw as much as I wanted. I've been trying to figure out the whole social media game, and then um, get that attention towards my eventual Kickstarter in 2024. So yeah, that's my whole plan with Air Rider. After that, uh I'll just be working on fulfillment. I don't expect it to be a hugely profitable Kickstarter. I'm going to be buying a lot of packaging material and stuff that, that costs money. So like upfront costs that will allow me to ship out the books and whatnot. But if I make like $100 profit, I'll be happy with that. It would be just
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
we'll see. I want to see how I want to gauge people's interest with the Kickstarter, and get people like excited for the next one. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sell the first book, and from there, I'm also building a buffer for a buffer of pages for the next chapter, for the next issue.
Mhm.
And I'm just building up issue 3, building up issue 3, and hopefully I can use this break right now from work to finish the entire thing, and then have it ready for April of next year, and start putting out pages from that, and then even like set up a Patreon or something like that
Yeah.
after the Kickstarter, to fund the creation of Air Rider full time.
Right.
So that's all that's in the works. I don't think I'll be able to go into full time work next year, but
Yeah. Yeah.
basically 2024 is a setup year for 2025.
Right.
But 2023, this whole year was just a setup year for 2024. So
Dude, that's how it goes with this stuff, man.
yeah, man, it's not like your dreams will come true tomorrow. You have to just keep planning this stuff
Yeah.
out, drawing, writing. Comics isn't even the end goal for me. Um it's like owning a studio, or becoming like a studio consultant or something like that. Just being able to put my vision and my storytelling skills out there and put them to good use.
Yeah.
But comics is like the start. It'll allow me to practice and do the most that I can on my own, and create a proof of concept for what I want to do in the future, in terms of like animation or even games and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's what I got
That's
for
good
now.
stuff, man. You got a hefty 2024 coming.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. And
But
then
no.
and then after the book comes out, I'll see about like shows and all that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that mentality that you kinda have right now where, you're setting your expectations for your first book, but,
Mhm.
once you run that first Kickstarter and everything, suddenly, you've got all the email subscribers from that, and you can kinda use that as, like, your launching pad for issue 2 and then issue 3 and then
Yeah.
beyond, and then, say you get to issue 3, and then that's when you start implementing, like, the Patreon aspect of it to be
Mhm.
like, you know, "Hey, issue 4 is gonna come out in 6 months to a year, but if you wanna get panel by panel, page by page every week, jump in on the Patreon,"
Yeah.
and, you can that's the exact same thing, I subscribe to, Matt Kent's Patreon, and
Right.
that's what he delivers, every week he's given us, 6 to 8 or 6 to 10 new pages plus, process videos and all that kinda stuff. And then
Nice.
eventually he's gonna print that book and he's gonna sell it as its own standalone product, but,
Right.
um, yeah, it's just kinda like that funnel, man. It's like a funnel. How do you funnel the comics game? It's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all basically a marketing funnel and all that. And that's basically what I spent 2023 setting up is like setting up the that mechanism to gather attention, get people interested in what I'm doing, put them in my email list, and then get them excited for the Kickstarter that's happening next year. And so
Yeah.
then after that is when I'll be able to like, that is all setting the foundation for building, like, that core ground fan base
Mhm,
that will help me launch book after book, and then eventually get to those, like, publishing deals that people are seeing, like, "Hey, this guy is actually making some stuff that people are interested in.
mhm.
Let's see, how it sells, with our publishing company," that kinda thing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you mentioned, newsletter earlier. That's kinda one of the things, with my Substack and everything. I wanna kinda expand that to maybe, um kinda find a way to grow that thing because it's similar to Patreon in the respect where they're such great platforms, but
Mhm.
it's such an organic growth that there's no really algorithm type of thing that hooks you in. Um, so that's another thing that I kinda wanna understand a little bit better, for this upcoming year. Um
Yeah. One thing that I learned from the comics launch thing was if you just offer some free item to your subscribers or like something some free like your best stuff for free, then people will opt in based on the free offer. So like what I offer for my subscribers or for my like potential subscribers is issue number 1 and 2 of Air Rider free, plus, like, 2 little bonus comics,
uh,
and, when they opt in, they get, free downloads for, each of those, and
yeah,
so it's like, as soon as they opt in, they get a welcome message that gives them those, free books, and then they're on the email list.
nice. Yeah, yeah, it's a version of that I'm kinda doing with Brew Monsters, which is actually going very well. Like,
Nice.
my viewership and my engagement has certainly gotten, risen, within the last couple weeks, so that's
Right.
certainly been good, and that's another book too there that, right now I'm putting it out on the Substack for free, everyone free to read.
Uh-huh.
But eventually, at some point this year, it's something that I do want to put in print too. It's a new full book that I'm proud of. So
Right.
that'll be another thing to kind of figure that one out, see where it kind of lies in the whole uh you know outlook of the 2024 distribution model. Um,
Right.
so
And Substack's a little different because it's like a website you can go to, and then there's, like organic traffic. You're not just going through to, an email list, right?
yeah, yeah, there's both, so you can go to a Substack, and although I don't know how easy it is to find, brand new things that you haven't seen.
Uh-huh.
Some of the ways that it can be done is if another person has a Substack, if another creator on Substack, um, it's called recommend. If
Right.
they recommend your Substack to their readers, then they will be able to see that.
Yeah, like when you follow a creator Substack, it'll automatically recommend you 3 other people on there,
Yeah,
and then you can just like hit follow if you want.
yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of another one
Cool.
in the tailpipe. But um,
And then for shows.
yeah, for shows, man. For me, uh, 2020 2023, I mentioned it in the last episode, was kind of got a little bit of a burnout in terms of doing shows.
Right, right, right.
Uh, I don't remember the exact count, but I did a little bit too many this year than I could handle, especially right in the middle of the production on West Not South. It was just kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
How many was that like per month, would you say?
I mean, I think it probably leveled out to something like maybe one a month, which it doesn't sound like a lot,
Yeah.
but it's a lot.
Yeah.
Whenever you've got your whole full-time gig going and you've got uh,
Right.
all your other responsibilities, we're not able to dedicate our full-time we're not we're not able to dedicate like a Thursday to you know pack up all your stuff and get all your stuff ready, a Thursday every week to do a show every month or every
Yeah.
week. Um so yeah, so like as 2024 kind of hits, I'm just kind of right now I'm kind of scoping out um a limited assortment of shows,
Right.
but just making those shows more meaningful, in terms of efficiency, cost effectiveness, as well as what am I trying to accomplish there, in terms of networking or sales or whatever. So that's going to kind of be a big thing that I want to kind of wrap my mind around, and maybe not stress out so much about doing show after show after show.
Right.
Even though I've got the full product this year, I've got the massive thing that I want to show people.
Yeah.
Um, but I also shouldn't burn myself out and try to do all these shows just because.
Yeah.
One,
Well,
Mhm.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say one show that I've really been looking at, and that I really really hope to do is
Mhm.
uh uh Cartoon Crossroad Columbus.
That's a
It's
mouthful.
yeah, it's a little bit of a mouthful, but um, it's a very cartoonist kind of indie comics centered style of show. Um,
Uh-huh.
and if you have to apply, you have to get in, and if you do get accepted, it's a 2-day show, but then there's also 3 days of like conferencing.
Wow.
Um, so like in terms of business outlook, you know maybe publisher presentations, or I don't know exactly what, but guys like Dan Clowes will be there, or he was there this last year. um but it just sounds like a really cool show, not only in terms of like, hey, can I table here, but
Uh-huh.
also in terms of like, man, like this conference thing kind of sounds really cool too.
Mhm.
So that one's happening next September. So
Did you
that's
already
Mhm.
Oh, did you already sign up for that one?
I didn't. Applications just opened up, maybe this week. But they're accepting applications all the way till April, I believe, or something like that.
Right.
So I'm definitely going to try to apply to that one. Um,
Nice.
but it's not just like a simple application. You got to kind of upload like PDFs of your work and things like that.
Right.
Um, so that's one of the main ones that I've really kind of been eyeing. But maybe a few more that are kind of in that realm. And then obviously some local shows like Eastern Rim.
Right.
I I love doing Jerry's show, so
Yeah.
that will certainly be one on the list. But
course.
but yeah, man, just 2024, I want to scale back, but
Right.
and just kind of make my shows and the cons that I do more meaningful. Because there were a few this year that I did that I was kind of like, uh, that was not efficient. That was not um
Like
that
GalaxyCon.
GalaxyCon, for example. Yeah, yeah. GalaxyCon was certainly one of those where I was just like, I'm glad I tried it, but also like, damn, I'm not doing that type of stuff next year.
Right, right.
So I've learned, which is good.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, that's kind of in a nutshell what my outlook for shows and stuff going forward in this next
right.
year is. What
Okay,
about
bet.
you, dude? Are you, I know you've done two this year, so that's two more than you did the previous year. No, 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 one more than you did last year, right?
Yeah, definitely one more than I did the previous
So
year.
is this next year going to be three, or are you gonna?
Uh,
What are you thinking?
I'm definitely gonna do the same two that I did this year, next year. Eastern Rim, definitely for sure. Hopefully, I'm there with Nick. I'm definitely gonna do what do you call it? Comic IndieCon again. That was a great show. Um, and then all these other shows, it's like you have to apply months in advance, and the tables can cost like from $100 to $300 or even more. One show I really want to try to table at is called Y2K Con or Y2Con or whatever. And that one is probably the show that Air Rider would do the best at because it looks exactly like the style that would be portrayed there. So I'm gonna try to hit up that convention, maybe with somebody else who also has a similar style or who's also trying to get a table there, because the tables cost a lot. So
Mhm.
I wanted to go this year just to kind of scope it out and whatnot, but it was too far, and I just couldn't make it out to that. But yeah, I'll try to make it out to that next year and just have a whole bunch of product on me so I can maybe recoup the cost of the table and whatnot. But it seems like it would be a fruitful one.
Yeah,
Um and maybe that'll be the one other show that I go to,
yeah,
and not really much else. I don't really I could try to get more involved in like the local scene um in San Marcos, and also try to do some San Antonio shows, but other than that, like I'm really just trying to focus on building more pages, making more books, because in comics more pages is your currency. And that's what Ngozi told me. Like she said, like more pages is more currency to you. It's like more that people can invest in your story and your characters. If you don't have that many pages, people are like, okay, where's the next chapter? Where's the next issue? We want to get involved more, but there's not much to see. And for Air Rider, there's a lot of interesting stuff to come, but I'm not on that part yet. It's all up in my head, and I'm like, man, that part is really dope. But I had to like actually draw it and get to that, and I had to do it faster. So I'm gonna try to work on speed and getting that. And I think that
yeah,
segues nicely into our next topic, which is like craft and whatnot. Like, what are you focusing on in terms of craft for 2024? Are you gonna do like a new book after West Not South, or what are you gonna try to focus on?
yeah. That's first of all that pages is currency quote. I love that quote. I'm gonna remember that. I like that
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. Um,
right.
so in terms of now, you
Actually, I
know,
want to say one more thing on that note. It's like when I come up to a convention table and I don't see much there, like maybe I only see one book. I'm like, all right, this is nice. This guy made a book. But if I come up to the table and I see like, oh, he's got book one, two, three, four, five, six, it's like, oh, okay, there's more to the story that I can get involved in, and he's still continuing on with it. Or especially if you see like a whole stack, like West Not South, you see a whole like big completed thing. It's like, wow, okay, that's
yeah,
more story to get involved in. See what this writer is about. See how their creativity manifests on the page. So,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely buy into that quote a lot.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, just in terms of what next in terms of craft,
Yeah.
and like what I'm going to be working on as the new year comes.
Hmm.
I wrapped up West Not South,
Yep.
basically wrapping up Brew Monsters now, so that'll be kind of another unit.
Right.
Um, I've got I've got a lot of ideas. We all have ideas. I've been sketching on some. Um, not comfortable yet to say exactly what that is, to the audience and everything, but
Right.
it's I've come to realize that I need some kind of story, in my chamber, ready ready to go.
Yeah.
Something to keep my story part of my brain going, because
Right.
if
Right.
I just stop and just, focus on characters, fan sketches or those types of things, then I'm kind of like, I my brain has to put out some kind of a story driven thing. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I
so
know. I know exactly that feeling.
yeah, so like I certainly have those stories to come.
Right.
And it's in and maybe maybe I'm not comfortable talking about like the actual stories of it and everything. Um, and and here's the other thing, um I also have these stories that are already done, that are just sitting in my iPad that I need to put out sometime, because these
Right.
were things that were, projects in the past that fell out that I just never got back to because I moved on to the next thing.
Hmm.
Um, so I actually have some of those things there that I need to figure out what to do with as well. Um,
Right.
so in terms of 2024, it could be even a bigger content year than I'm thinking right now. Um,
Yeah. Like, are you gonna try to focus more on like painting? Or are you gonna get into like digital or your inking technique? What's up?
Yeah, so one of the big things, and the thing that I've been experimenting with one of the new stories that I've been kind of experimenting with,
Yep.
is doing blue pencils digitally,
Uh huh.
printing that out on Bristol, and then inking that. Um, so that's
Right.
something I've done a couple times now, and I
Mhm.
like it a lot. So that's kind of in terms of craft, that's one of the processes that I'm going to continue to work with, experiment with. Because now that I've done a couple pages like that, I'm kind of like, okay, I understand how this works now, and how I can get some really interesting stuff going, and quickly. Um,
Right. Right. Right.
so yeah, certainly that's going to be the kind of digital traditional combo,
Uh huh.
trade-off type of thing. I'm definitely gonna be working on that kinda stuff,
Nice.
experimenting with it. Um, and painting, man, yeah, like, watercoloring is something that I truly, truly fell in love with this year.
Right.
Um, and I know you saw me at the show last weekend, Ken, but, even just doing kinda character sketches and things, like, I just have so much fun with it, man.
Right.
And it's just a blast to do. So I'm definitely going to kind of keep that as both, a creativity thing, and expand that, but also as in one of these things where, like, hey, I'm gonna relax, let me paint something up. Um,
Right.
so yeah, that's certainly another thing craft wise that I'm gonna continue to experiment with and develop even further. Storytelling is always one of those things that I want to get better and better at.
Yeah.
Compositionally, panel to panel, those types of things. So, um, yeah, certainly all those things. 2024 is going to be another big experimentation year with all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And growth, hopefully. If we don't continue to grow year after year, I mean, come on, what are we doing here? We gotta
Right.
we gotta continue to grow. I mean, the
Yeah.
greats do it. Matt Kent, he grows every single book, and I can see it on the page.
Yeah.
So what about you, dude? What about you in terms of craft and kind of um, your traditional? Are you going? I mean, I know you're pretty much all traditional for the most part, but are you going to kind of bring in some more of those digital elements? What do you think?
Uh, this year I'm gonna try to focus and figure out how I can make a process that works for me. Right now, I'm working on page 9 of issue 3. It's
Nice.
kind of a
Yeah.
funny page going on, but over time, I'm just trying to find a way that I can get the result I'm looking for, or even exceed the result that I'm looking for by the process that I'm using. And I haven't had a chance yet this year to draw page after page after page and then figure out a process that gets me to the end result that I like. So, um, throughout the next month, I'll have that time to actually like hammer home a process that gets me results that I know I can reliably produce, and then try to try to focus next year on doing more illustrations. Like what I would really like to do is analyze art that I really like and then break down its constituent elements and then make it into my own style, like integrate all that stuff into my own style. And I see a lot of stuff in like 90s anime or 2000s anime, 2000s cartoons, comics, all that kind of stuff. I want to take all the elements from my favorite art styles, dissect them, figure out what makes them work, figure out the color and lighting, all that stuff, the composition, the angles, and then arrange it in my own mind that makes sense for me, and then put it in my own work
Yeah.
with like a full understanding of how to use it and why. And then I mean that's what I want to do this coming year, but it's just like a matter of time of finding that time to do it. I don't think I'll have the full time to do it. I'll have enough time to draw the pages and just draw them how I'm drawing right now. But I'll be able to use 2024 to set up 2025 to be the year that I can actually um experiment and try new things, maybe even animate and do little things like that. um because I always want to animate. I always want to do like full illustrations, like really decent nice illustrations. It's been a while since I've done like a solid, like, full picture. All I do is like story pages, or I'll do like coloring assignments for clients,
Mhm.
and I want to get back into that swing of drawing. So that's what 2023 was about, was just figuring out the marketing aspect and getting my name out there. And now that I have an understanding of it, like a base understanding of it, I can take that knowledge into 2024 to set up 2025 to be more of a drawing year, to be more of an experimentation year. I can start coloring, doing this and that. And eventually I want to get into playing with like Blender and digital rendering software, so I can like make animations with it and use that to advertise for the book.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's a lot of good stuff. I think a big thing that certainly I connect with there as well is, you know, reading and studying. I
Yeah.
feel like, I've got this massive heap of books right behind me, a lot that I have not read,
Right.
I continue to keep buying all these books that are
Yeah.
inspiring me. You know, it is what it is. But
Right.
I've got such a big library behind me and downstairs that um I really need to keep reading these things. And I'm Ken, you're a lot more analytical than I am, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with, your time at school and everything.
Mm.
So, you probably get something different out of something that you read, rather, compared to, what I would get out of it. But, you know, I think, and I mentioned it, I don't know if I mentioned the podcast or what before, but
Uh-huh.
um I'll always remember a Bill Sienkiewicz quote, but I don't remember exactly the exact verbiage of it, but it was something like, I'm not interested in the way images look. I'm more interested in the way images feel. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that connects with me so much. Um,
Same.
So when I'm reading things, I grasp and I kind of consume and I absorb how that stuff feels, you know?
Right.
And I think that that's something that drives me and it drives my experimentation. So I need to kind of keep reading those books and looking at this stuff that kind of, makes me emote or makes me have some kind of a feeling when I see those pages.
Yeah, man, that's the whole goal of my art is to I'm trying to directly connect to the viewer's emotion. I'm trying to like pinpoint your heart and then like attack. Like like the whole point of the lines and the colors and the sequence on the page is so I can get at your emotions directly. And yeah, that's the whole reason why I study the craft so deeply and so like analyze everything so much is so I can like find a way that will connect directly to the viewer's heart. Because that's how I bought some of my favorite comics. Either the art connected with me or the story connected with me so deeply that I was just like, I have to buy it. And so that's why I have most of what I have on my shelf, and why I study the books that I study because they grabbed me in some way that I was just like, man, I got to keep reading. I have to keep reading, and that's what I want to make a writer to be like,
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, dude, for sure, man. Um, sounds sounds like we have a lot of crafting to do in 2024. That's for sure.
Yeah, of course, man, of course.
Um, but yeah, man. Anything else to kind of wrap up our 2024 to come goals?
Yeah, the last thing I had on the list was just what you want to do in terms of like marketing and sales and your approach to that.
Yeah, that's a damn good question, Ken. It's certainly something that I need to put more attention to. And obviously at this moment right now, I don't know exactly what my steps are to get there. Um, I've experimented with like the Instagram things and all those kinds of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I do need to do better at that. I've kind of as the year kind of evolved, I've gotten a little bit uh lacking on that respect, just in
Right.
terms of doing like time lapses and things like that. um you know and I suspect that if I do a Kickstarter and all those kinds of things, I'll be trying to take in that information a lot more in
Hmm.
terms of marketing and getting stuff out there. um but yeah, I still don't know, if, being truthfully honest, candid with everyone here, including you, Ken, like,
Uh-huh.
it's something I know I need to put more effort into. um, how I'm gonna do it, I just do not know at
Oh.
this moment. But what about you? I mean, I know that you've had your year of 2023 was your year of marketing. So now how are you gonna kinda implement that going forward?
Yeah, 2023 was like my year of learning all the basics and the fundamentals of marketing and what it takes. And basically every marketing text that I've read, it just says focus on the email list. You're trying to drive all your traffic, everybody that you come into contact with, all your followers, everyone who likes your stuff, your page, all that stuff. You're trying to direct it to your email list. And this is why I would tell all the artists or anyone who's trying to do a comic book or run a Kickstarter is just direct people to your email list. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to focus on throughout 2024 is just trying to run that Kickstarter, get more and more fans interested in the list, in the email list, and in Air Rider as a story, and then hone in on my social media outreach to where I'm just doing a few basic tasks per week so that my social media sort of runs on autopilot for that week, and all I have to do is um reply to messages or reach out to this person, reach out to that person. I don't want to have to do too much on social media. I just want to drive that traffic towards my email list and whatnot. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to. Right now, I'm going, or like during 2024, I'm gonna try to network with more people, get more people familiar with me and whatnot. Because a lot, that's what a lot of this marketing stuff is just getting people familiar with who you are and what you're trying to put out, and get them interested in your story and then the story that you're trying to produce. And so then when you um put out your book, people are like ready, willing, and excited because they trust you. They know who you are. And
Mhm.
they're like, okay, well, yeah, sure, I'll throw money at that. I'll throw money at you, because those are your core fan base members. They're not gonna just look at your book and be interested based on the look. If you can get them interested in you as a creator, as a person, then you can get them interested in your book, and they'll tell other people about your book. They'll become your arms, like,
Pyramid scheme.
yeah, exactly, man. They'll reach out to more people for you, and you can start siphoning off money from the bottom of the pyramid. That's how it works. And yeah, yeah, like what I'm trying to do is create a product that's good enough to get other people to tell their friends about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, bouncing off of that, certainly, you brought up the newsletter thing and how important that is in terms of your email subscriber list and things like that. So,
Yeah,
that's something that, with the Substack that I really want to understand more. Um
you're already well on your way. If you have a Substack, you're like ahead of most people that I talk to,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah, and I do agree with that. And I wish more people would subscribe to it because there actually is like a lot more in depth and a lot more, variety of things on there as opposed to like my Instagram, you
Right.
know. But the thing that's there's such an obstacle, some kind of a block there.
Hmm.
Even when I do post about it on my Instagram about, hey, get free articles, get free comics, get free
Hmm.
things, it's still tough. It's still tough, and I think it has to do with it being directly linked to an email account because
Mm.
there's so many people that are just jam packed on their inbox. They get so much stuff, so much stuff, so much stuff that
Uh-huh.
it's almost like having them sign up with an email is almost like a little bit of an intrusion thing on like their private sector. So they're kind of like, I don't want to be berated with more information.
Well,
Um, yeah,
I was about to say, the thing about that is that if they already know, like, and trust you, then they won't mind the intrusion. Like, they'll happily like sign up for it.
true, true.
So it's like,
No one fucking likes me.
oh my god, no. but but part of it is this show, which is like people are getting to know us through the show and through what we're talking about and all that. Um and putting the links down below so that people can sign up. And I'll tell you this, like, I have a full landing page um for my email list, but nobody has signed up through it. I'll put my links on social media. I have it post to the or pinned as the top comment on my Twitter. I haven't put it on my Instagram or my Facebook yet, but it's like I'll post about it and nobody's signing up. Nobody's signing up. It's like, okay, what do I have to do to get people interested enough to want to sign up? And that's what my next phase is like trying to figure out what will draw people in. Um, it could be like you post like half an article on Instagram, and people are like, well, I want to know what happens next. Here's the email list. And it's like, um
Yeah,
it grabs people in that way. Like, so that's what I'm trying to figure out is like,
right.
okay, I post this link all the time, or I post it pretty often. How can I start getting more people like actually interested in clicking on it and going into the email list and all that stuff. Because if you get enough people to know, like, and trust you, they'll want to do it anyway. And the way I've been growing my list for now, like so far, is just by reaching out to family and friends. So like I'm just reaching out to them. They already know, like, and trust me. So it's like a no-brainer. They gave me their email, and I'll sign them up to the list like manually.
Yeah.
And so you can start with them. They're your core fan base basically, because they already know you.
Yeah.
And then the more we put out like our podcast, the more we put out like content on social media, people will start to know us more and more through what we're doing. We get better at our art, so that people are like, okay, what's the story behind it? Let's check out their email and all that stuff. We put out those offers and whatnot. And that's a large part of it, is making the offer interesting enough to where people want to sign up for
Yeah.
your list. So it's just a process that takes time. Like you start getting more and more social media savvy, and like talking to people that are already interested in you, and just like, hey, like, hey, I have my email list here, and
Yeah.
getting that out to people. So I mean, that's what the phase I'm on. I'm trying to figure that out, get
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah, for sure. So that'll be a common goal for the two of us going forward into the new year.
Yeah.
And it starts with you watching.
Yeah.
But Ken, man, I think that kind of wraps up our future goals for 2024.
Yep.
I think we can go ahead and sign off for today, man. Ken, let the good people out there know where they can find you.
Everyone can find me on X or Twitter at thecomicsgrind, and you can also find me on Instagram at comicsgrind. You can also find me on you can find my webcomic Air Rider High School Hero on Global Comics, and sign up to my email list.
Sign
Like,
up. There
yeah,
you go.
it's all in the links down below in the description, and that's pretty much it, man.
There you go. And you guys can find me at Nico_Writes on Instagram and on X. You can also sign up for free in my Substack newsletter at nicorodriguez.substack.com. Posting free stuff there. You're getting free pages of Brew Monsters, my comic about 5 Universal Monster friends who open a brewery in Transylvania. So go ahead and subscribe, man. It's free. So, but that about does it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Peace.